Yo, welcome back to the Playoff Podcast. We're here with another episode, and we have two very special guests. We got JoJo's brother. You want to introduce
I'm
yourself?
Jacob. I'm Joseph's older brother.
Yes, sir.
Joseph.
He got Lionel Spacho here like always. He got JoJo, and we also got another special guest who we'll be talking to today. We'll interview him, ask him a couple questions, and then later on we'll have a quick conversation about Cooper Flagg, the lottery, and also the NBA playoffs. JoJo, you want to give him a breakdown?
So, yeah, we're here with Alex Langadas. He played at Lake Region. He was part of the 2016 state championship team, and he also coached at Lake Region. He was actually my coach when I played basketball, and he's also a big part of Ryan's free throw event that is happening tomorrow. So definitely come to Lake Region, 5 o'clock, free admission, charity. We're raising a bunch of money for charity, so be there. Alex, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, what's up, everybody? I'm Alex. Appreciate you guys for having me.
Sure.
It's a pretty sweet setup. I've been watching it for I don't know how long you guys have been doing it for, but a few months. But I did not know it was this high tech. So I just appreciate being a part of this, man.
Yes, sir. You got to expect the best of the best from here.
Hey, I'm starting to learn that.
Yes, sir.
So you want to talk about, you see your shirt that you have, that is the roster of the 2016 championship team. What was that like? Let's flash back to 2016. You were obviously a big part of that state championship game. I don't know if any of you guys, you got to watch the tape. He came off the bench, but I would say you were the MVP of that game.
No, thank you. Well, just to touch on that, like, as you see our roster here, like, the reason why we were so good is just because we had 13 guys who were always ready to play, and I was one of them, you know. So I wasn't always starting, but I knew that when I got a chance to be on the floor, I was going to contribute, you know. Like, I was going to do my best. I was going to get the ball. I was going to attack the hoop, find open men, you know. Like, we had 12 adults. We had 12 seniors on our team. You know what I'm saying? So we basically just, you know, we had a sense of urgency. We needed to win. And I think that's one of the things that gets lost nowadays in basketball is that sense of urgency. You know, like, we had to get somewhere. We had to get there fast. You know, if you weren't ready to play against us, you're going to be down 20 by the end of the first quarter. And it was just that simple. So.
Yeah, I remember those games. I remember that state championship game specifically. What do you think, like, your favorite memory, if you had to say, or like one of your top memories from that year?
Oh man, there's so many. I was a special year for me because being from where we're from, we don't have a lot of success in basketball. You know, we always have a good team. We're always playing hard, but not always winning. So I think just having the community behind me and having a chance to, like, feel like a superstar for a little bit, you know, feel like the real deal. That was probably my favorite part, as well as after we won, just that moment of, like, it's weird, like, a moment of relief. Like, obviously you're excited, but when you're expecting to win a championship, until that buzzer rings, like, you don't breathe. Like, we were so tight all year. You know, like, we'd get on the bus. We had a silent bus ride up to the state championship game. We were on a coach bus. You know, we had a lot of goofy guys, you know, our team. We had fun, you know. But once we got on that bus, man, it was locked in, you know. Like, you could have heard a pin drop.
Yeah. That excitement showed. Weren't you the first person to, like, grab the ball right after the buzzer, or right after they handed the ball?
Yeah. So I made a lot of sacrifices. I was, you know, I'm a good basketball player. I worked really hard. But I definitely took a little bit of a back seat. And my teammates did a really good job of letting me get the moment when I could, you know. So even though I wasn't always able to be on the floor, like, as you can see, my teammates were nice enough to let me hold the ball in our picture, you know. Like, they knew that I was kind of the emotional leader of the squad, you know. So I definitely grabbed that ball. I ran straight to the crowd. I tried to get over to the fan section, and the guards had to literally stop me. They're like, no, you got to go take some pictures first. But that's why we were so good, man. Like, we did it for our community, you know. There was guys who got cut from the team, you know, fans who came to every game, you know, adults who played for the team before us. Like, we needed to bring home the gold ball, and we did. You know, that was it.
I think it's crazy how big of a cultural impact winning a state championship or bringing a just, like, success to your neighborhood and your hometown, especially with like, Lake Region hasn't been known for much success, but it's so crazy because we were both little kids, and I still remember that. Like, I can literally visualize, like, when they like, escorted the ball, like, the drive through on the causeway, and when they brought the ball to the gym. That was, like, I'll remember that, like, forever. And I think it's super cool. And I would say Lionel, he's still playing basketball. So, like, what if you could say anything about like the possibility of like winning a state championship or like something,
Yeah.
word of advice.
Well, one thing I will say, and you're in 8th grade, right?
Yes, sir.
So I knew that we were gonna win a gold ball so it was in 8th grade. So we got a random coach who came in who was a little bit older, and his name was Steve Pelletier, and he just started talking to us about it at a young age, and it wasn't in a cocky way. It was just like, look, fellas, like it's going to be 12 high schoolers against 12 high schoolers. You know, the ones who are most prepared, the ones who work the hardest, the ones who love each other, right? The ones who are willing to sacrifice, they're going to be the ones who win. So you got to decide right now whether or not you want to win a state championship because it takes a lot of work. You're already putting the work in, it seems. You know what I'm saying? You know, you're traveling around, you're playing ball. Like, that's what I tell people. The more you can play in different environments, the better you'll get. It's not necessarily about playing better guys or, you know, saying like, oh, I got to get out of my town or this or that. It's just about you want to be a more well-rounded human, you got to travel the world, you know? Like, if you want to be a better basketball player, you got to play down in Mass, right? You got to play wherever you can go. You said, where are you going in
Omaha, Nebraska.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're already on track, right? Now you got to make sure your guys around you are on track as well. They're not going to sacrifice what you're willing to sacrifice, but you got to get them to sacrifice what they are willing to, you know? And that's it right there, you know? I always wanted to be a superstar. I always wanted to start. I started probably 4 or 5 games my junior year. I had a center who was in front of me. I played center. He graduated. I was like, yeah, I'm walking right into I'm going to start. It's going to be sweet. We're going to win a state championship. And I learned quickly that's not how it was going to go for me. So be ready to adapt, right? You got to do whatever your role is. But if you do the work now, then it'll be easier. It's not going to be easy, but it'll be easier.
Thank you for your advice.
Yeah.
I also had a question. During your high school career, were you a role player or were you a leader on your team?
Yeah. So that's a good question because I was both. So I was never like a big time scorer or a big time stat getter. In fact, sometimes my teammates would get mad at me for not shooting enough. But I always prided myself on being a leader. Like, I was always the first person in the gym, last person to leave. I remember I had a teammate named Jack Leger, and they were probably the hardest working person I could ever be around. And honestly, I was lucky enough to just follow their lead. So whatever Jack was doing, I was doing. If Jack was a leader, I was a leader. If Jack was a role player, I was a role player. And we were lucky enough, as you know, Jack was a leader.
Yeah.
Jack was a role player. And Jack was also a Mr. Maine basketball finalist. So for me, I was definitely more of a role player, but with our community and the way that we were passionate about basketball, like, that was what our fans loved to see. So I was a role player, but man, I felt like a superstar.
You were like, you were Rodman.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a good way of putting it. Like, there wasn't enough. Like, if I wanted to shoot threes, I wouldn't have played. The only way I was getting into that game was if I was getting in there, pulling an offensive rebound, putting it back, doing the dirty work, blocking a shot, taking a charge. So to answer your question in short, I was a role player, but I was also a leader.
So, yeah, when I'm watching you guys, it was the girls and the guys. Both programs were very good.
Yep. The girls weren't supposed to be good that year. Their best player transferred. It's so funny. My cousin Cece, she was a really good player, but she transferred to go to New Hampton. So I think they were picked to not even make the playoffs, and they ended up making it to the semis, I want to say. I don't remember exactly, but we were watching their game. I think they made it to the semis, and yeah, so anyway, go ahead. I think that's important to say.
Tiana Jo Carter, she had like 1,000 points in a season, which was a big deal then.
You don't get many 1,000-point scorers at Lake Region nowadays.
1,000 rebounds too. Tiana Jo Carter, she had 1,000 rebounds, 1,000 points, and she ended up playing at Albany College in New York, and she's a coach now somewhere at some D1 program. I wish I could remember, like Princeton or something crazy like that, And she's from Sebago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, these people are from our hometowns,
So she's coaching. You ironically coached both of us for playing basketball.
Yeah.
What's like one of the most funniest? What's one of the things like you remember from coaching?
So this guy right here, I have a specific memory because when I coached his team, it was my first ever job. I had a kid named Jacob Chadbourne, and he was a good player. And other than that, there was a lot of guys who were very similar. And I know, like, you really got better as the season went. and we ended up playing Old Orchard Beach at the end of the season. And
Yeah.
they were really good. And this guy just comes out like firing. Like, I don't know if you had more than 10 points in a game all year, but you were always, 7, 8, scoring a couple buckets.
Yeah.
And you went off for like 17 or 20 or something like that. And I remember one of your final shots, we were down by like 6 or something like that with like 40 seconds left. And you just caught one at the NBA line, like where the NBA line would have been, but we're in a middle school court. And this guy just pulls it, nothing but net. And the other team calls a timeout, and everyone's going crazy, going around him. And I just grabbed him by his shoulders, and I was like, I don't know what I said, but I was like, keep doing that, man. Like,
I'll tell you what it is. It's because it's the last game of the season.
Yeah.
I got nothing to lose, so I'm just hucking up shots. I talked to Braden Williams.
yeah.
We're like, we're just going to go out here and we're just going to shoot, man.
Yeah,
Because
you guys killed it. And that's an important point, not to retouch on that, but guys who have a sense of urgency are more successful, especially nowadays. Like in the days of players feeling it out, you don't have time to feel it out, man. If you're going to feel it out against us, you're going to be down 20.
I think
by the end of the first quarter.
That's such a cool thing. You have that urgency because it's the last game of the season, and I think some of the best players play every single game like it's their last.
Yeah.
And that's that urgency that makes people great.
Yeah, and just to circle back to a story about JoJo.
Oh, no.
JoJo, it's not even like a one story. It's just like I coached JoJo, which we were talking about earlier, through some of the COVID stuff. And, I was a young man trying to find my way. And basketball is really important to me. And having a guy like JoJo who I could lean on, even though even though he was one of my kids, one of my players, he was a little bit, he's a little snappy, he's a little bit more mature. Like I could lean on JoJo for that. What's the right word? That like, I don't want to say comedic relief, but just that sense of reality. Like, okay, like we're playing basketball, but we're also living life here, like, so I'll always appreciate having guys like you on my team who remind me of myself a little bit. Like I love the game of basketball, but I also wanted to make sure everybody was having fun, So I think one of my memories of JoJo would be him just coming down one drill, shooting, like he's just like you sometimes, just shooting deep threes one day. Like some days he's missing them, some days he's making them, and like just having that smile on his face. And when you finally made that switch to doing like the media stuff from kind of playing, I think that was the best decision you ever made because you've got a great basketball brain. No, and that's the thing because you're a great player, right? You're a good player. You could dribble, you could shoot, you could pass, but the stuff that you're doing with this, like you're elite. You know what I mean? And like there's a lot of ways to affect basketball. Like I couldn't dribble as well as everybody else, so I got my butt down in the post and posted guys up. You want to be in the basketball world, and look at you, man. Look at this setup. Oh yeah.
That's something that I think, as somebody who played basketball, watched a ton of basketball, or even just sports in general, and like greatest moments or like whatever, seeing like those highlight clips, it kind of like made it easy for when I started picking up like a camera and knowing what to record. Like I feel like somebody who went from, let's say there's a photographer that shoots like birds or whatever, outdoor or whatever, weddings, and then basketball or sports in general is so fast paced, so sometimes you don't necessarily know exactly what's going to happen, but just being a player and kind of understanding how the game works lets me sort of anticipate, like let's say where the ball is going to go or who's going to shoot it, and I think that definitely helps. But I think it is cool how you were coaching me when I played in high school, and you kind of saw that whole process where I didn't even end up playing my senior year out of choice to do photography, and that allowed me to go to a bunch of different schools and just grow. So it was very cool.
No, I mean,
Coach, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, of
but
course.
Throughout your coaching career, what are some life lessons that it's taught you that you still live by until today?
Oh man, so that's a good question. I was very lucky to work with like some very different coaches. So the first coach who I worked with, John Mayo, who you know pretty well, obviously. You must have had class with him.
Fun fact, John Mayo was the like sports media class that I took that got me a Canva account, a school Canva account, which got me into like graphic editing, which eventually led into me like filming and doing all the graphic stuff for my school's Instagram. But John Mayo, great guy.
Man, people don't, and I want to just, man, he's a person who doesn't get enough credit. Like there's a John Mayo in every community, I'm sure, but he's quiet. He does his own thing. Not quiet when he coaches, but like he's given so much to our community and he's given so much to our area. And I think I would be crazy for me not to just say that this guy is probably the most underrated sports guy I've been around. He got JoJo started in media. He got me started in coaching. It's funny because I always thought he hated me as a player. And then all of a sudden there was an opening for the 8th grade job. And it was, as we already said, it was his class. And they called me up and they offered me the job and I took it and learned so much very quickly, especially from John. One thing that I learned is basketball is, because when you're playing, it's easy to have a sense of urgency, right? Which is one of the reasons why we were so good and why I was so good. But when you're coaching, getting 12, 15 guys who might have girlfriends, they all want to go home and play Fortnite, they want to, they want to look good, you know what I'm saying? Like it was hard to, it's hard to get kids to be motivated. And John did a really good job of that, just demanding the best, right? So I went from him to coaching with Ryan Martin. And Ryan Martin is, as we've all seen and heard, he's the most probably skilled and talented basketball brain I've ever been around. So I learned a lot about just how to actually play the game from him, which helps you as a coach as well, like all the little footwork, things like that, this and that, and just how to love the game. Nobody loves anything more than Ryan Martin loves basketball. And in order to be passionate, you got to have love. So, I mean, that's one of the things.
So you're a big part in the free throw contest. He's done like over 40 practices for this free throw world record where he has to make 2,461 free throws in an hour, which is like one every 1.4 seconds, which is incredible. But you've been along with me the whole ride since we did our first event last August, I believe, where he did the high school three-point line world record and broke that. And then you were there April 1st, actually, he broke the NBA three-point record for most shots in an hour. So you've seen like kind of the work, and I think it's super inspiring because, like we said, he did 40 practices for this, 40-plus practices for this free throw event, and at those first 2 or 3, it seemed so like impossible.
Yeah.
Like we didn't think it was gonna happen. We were like, is this even worth to practice? And now we look a few months later, and it's an event this Friday. Come to the Lake Region High School, 5 o'clock. Yeah. There's gonna be, so we got some new news about that. We're gonna have free pizza there from Naples Home Slice, which is located in Naples, five
the
minutes
undercarriage.
away. Yes, they open Friday the 6th, Friday the 16th, same day that the event is. But they're going to be giving away free pizza. And then Maine Love, shout out Maine Love, they're going to be giving away a crap ton of water. So you guys have to stop by. It's a free event. We're going to try to raise a ton of money for charity and just bring the community together. Because last time it was very, very awesome to see. Like there was over like 500, 600 people in that small gym that I grew up in. He grew up in. My brother grew up in this small gym. So we're hoping to bring a lot of people together and witness something very, very unique and bring people together to have this shared experience. Yeah.
Sorry. When you were watching Ryan Martin like early before you like ever attempted it, like I want to know like what's the process of like getting to the record? Like where did he start at? Was he like close to the record, or like when was he just like, let me just try this?
So there's a bunch of different records we could go for, because he says a big thing that keeps him playing is these records. It gives him something to do. So there's just a bunch of different records. You could do like most free throws in a minute, most free throws in 24 hours or whatever. So we were trying to figure out which one made sense to pivot to after the 3-point one. And so we just was like, okay, free throws. And little did we know, or little did he know, it's way harder than threes because it is so much faster. So the first time we did it, it looked way different than now. Now we have like his shoes are tied to the floor basically to weights. We tried like a bunch of different rack adjustments and stuff. So like the beginning, it was not gonna happen. It was like we keep pace for like what pace you have to be at to break the record, and it didn't like make sense. It was like, should we even continue to try this? And he just kept doing it.
Trial and error.
Kept doing it. And then like 40 something practices later, he's like, all right, I'm going to break this. Yep. So let's do the event.
Okay. So I was like, okay, I thought he was like, just like naturally from practicing over the years, he was like just that good, but he's been practicing
Yeah.
Yeah.
40 practices together.
The 3-point one though, like the 3-point one, he almost did like first attempt.
Yes.
Really?
Which,
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I was
Which is
that's
weird. So we
crazy.
tried to gauge kind of like what the hardest record or what the easiest records were and start with those. So just, knowing that Ryan is a really good 3-point shooter and he had almost done the makes or what, he'd been attempting to make the most in a row and realizing that one's that's hard. It's like 200.
Yeah, it's like
something in a row.
200 something. Yeah.
And you get to 100 and you're like, holy smokes, I still have 100 more. But once we kind of found out the ones that he was going to be successful with and the ones that were going to be kind of easiest for us to work as on a team, as JoJo said, we found out, okay, his foot is wiggling too much. Let's tape it down. All right, his elbow's hitting off the rack. Okay, we got to buy a new rack that goes sideways, So it was like all this just figuring things out, like taking it serious like a coach would or taking it serious like a player would. And just trial and error. Like, I can't say that enough. Like, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And not to sound corny, but how many practices have we done?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's hard work pays off,
A lot of people think that free throw is the easiest shot to take in a basketball game, but end up being the hardest shot to take.
Yeah.
Look at Robinson on the Knicks. I don't know if you've watched any of those
Man,
games.
it's all the
That air ball
Yeah,
pressure.
the
is
free
terrible.
throws. It's so
Yeah, you have to
so
really-
mental. Free throws.
It's crazy how
They-
mental it is.
And the name free throw, you're
Yeah.
going up there like, oh, this is a free shot. I should make this, and then you don't. It's so mental. And
Well-
I always think back to that free throw. At
from
the-
my buzzer
at the
beater.
All-Star Showcase. That's always when I think about just pressure of how mental a free throw is.
You hit some big ones, or?
So
Yeah.
you can explain it for
So
yourself.
basically, it was at this showcase up north for the what's it called? It was I always forget it was like something showcase. It's for the MGBL. Also, Matt McKenzie runs that showcase.
Yep.
So basically, there's a bunch of like all the best players from Maine all put in one gym, and they're on separate teams, and everybody plays against each other. And in my last game, we lost our first, but in our last, we were kind of down by like I think 10 points.
Yeah, like the
or
whole
so.
game.
Yeah, the whole entire game, we didn't score a singular point until one of my teammates made 2 free throws. So basically, I was just trying to motivate them, just try to be a leader of my team, just telling them we got to get buckets. As if you saw my mic'd up video,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
yeah.
I've seen
So yeah, if you guys saw that, you saw that. And then over time, we started getting our points, and we caught back up, and we were down by I'm pretty sure 3, and we caused a turnover on the opposite side where we needed to score. So I was like, perfect. This is the place where I can get a shot off. So we had like 7 seconds left. I dribbled to the wing. I got an and 1 3, and I made the 3. So I got to the free throw line, and immediately once I like spun the ball, I did my like kind of like thing to get me focused. And as I'm going to shoot, everybody goes silent. They turn off the music and everything. It's just like you can feel all the eyes on you, all of it. So basically, as I'm shooting, I shoot it, and it kind of goes to the left. I was like, "Yep, I missed this," and it just goes back in. It's my heart just.
Yeah.
I just like took
Your
a
mind
deep
can
breath
play
of
tricks
relief.
on you, man.
It's so crazy. That's like it's such like a character building moment.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, if you
definitely.
compare that
Yeah.
free throw to like one that you shoot in the first quarter, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that free throw is gonna be harder to make than the one in the first
Even though it's
quarter.
the same
harder.
It's the
exact
same
shot.
shot.
Same
yeah.
exact
Well,
shot.
and
It's different.
that's why I say like have that sense of urgency, because if you're shooting free throws in the first quarter, you just said it. It's facts. They are easier to make. The pressure's not there, so don't leave money at the table. You know what I'm saying, right? Because obviously you did your best and you got your team back in that and you won the game. But I like to think like not in a pessimistic way, but what could I have done in the first quarter? Like was I going this hard in the first quarter, right? Like could I have dove on the ball in the second quarter? You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things. Like if you do your work early, you don't have to do your work late. The job can be done. You can be sitting on the bench watching all your best friends get their time. You know what I mean? And that's but anytime you can knock down big free throws,
That's feeling
it's always
good.
a good feeling, man. We so I always say this. You guys, obviously, some of you, you may have heard of Lake Region winning a state championship, this and that, blah blah blah. Like it's really big in our community. Obviously, it's might not be as big everywhere, but it's just one of those things where like when you get a chance to win a state championship, you become immortal in your area. And it's like kids nowadays, though, I will say it's funny because I ref a lot of rec league basketball games nowadays. Sometimes when I show up to a gym, they're like, "Hey, aren't you that ref?" Or "Hey, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah."
the ref.
I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I am." Little do you guys know, but so it's funny. Like, so as much as you want to win and do this for your community and like be immortal or be a legend, like you got to do it for what's within, because at the end of the day, like it's just a state championship. It doesn't matter this or that, but I the job was complete. That's something that I'll always have in my back pocket. Like, we were able to struggle, we were able to work together, like, we were able to get together for a greater cause, and because of that, I'm just a little bit stronger. The kids might not remember me anymore, but I'll never.
We remember you, Alex. Don't worry.
I know, right? Yeah, geez. I mean, you guys are older than I was.
But speaking of getting together for a greater cause, just bouncing back to that free throw event, you're going to be on the mic live stream. You're going to be on the YouTube commentary. Last time we did this in August, last August, we did the same thing. The setup was kind of mid, like it wasn't. It kind of looked kind of choppy. The audio wasn't that great, but this time we upgraded a little bit, and it should be much better this time. And also, last time it was just crazy. I didn't know how much of an impact that like live stream would. I literally came from work, not thinking anybody was really gonna like kind of be there. And I walk into this gym and see like 500, 600 people, and the whole event was waiting for me to get that live stream going. And
I remember
then
that.
The day after that, I went up north to Bangor to do the Cooper Flagg and Ace Flagg Pro Hoops camp, the youth camp that they do up there. And I figured out that they said that they were watching the event. And I was there, I set up the live stream, and they said they were watching it. So I just thought that was crazy how much reach that did when I didn't really think much of it.
And this next one's gonna be even bigger. I mean, you got free pizza and stuff. So.
Free pies.
Yeah.
No, and the cool thing is like, so not only are we doing a live stream, and I'm gonna be commentating it or whatever the word you want to use, but we have like a couple guests who are gonna be there, who are gonna be kind of interviewing, like a few people who a lot of your viewers will know, like Cash McClure, who played for Marana Cook a few years ago. I think John Patino is going to be on the stream from Gray. We got Mike Adams, who is a longtime coach at Edward Little, who I'm so excited to interview, because if anyone here knows him, he's a legend. I mean, he's one of the greatest players you could be, and an even better coach. And there'll be a few other people. So really, you guys got to tune in. If you're not able to make it in person, check out the stream. It's going to be on Ryan's Instagram, which is, I think, Dr.
Buckets, yeah.
Dr. Buckets 33 or something like
He's
that.
about to. Did he hit 1,000?
Yeah, he hit 1,000 subscribers,
nice.
So we don't have to promote that.
Now
anymore,
we're
but still
promoting
subscribe.
10,000.
Yeah.
10,000. Subscribe.
But no, you definitely, if you can be a part, if you're free Friday night, come through. It's like you don't want to miss it. It's actually something you'll remember for the rest of your life. And the energy you feel in that room, you can't really like find that. And never mind get that for free.
Oh, yeah.
And my favorite part about it is this is all just a bunch of people who love basketball coming together to put on an event. Nobody's trying to profit off of it. It is all for charity, and we are all just coming together for a good cause. So we're for the charity, 50% of all donations are going to go to the Pat Moody Foundation, and 50% of all donations are going to go to the Frommy's Fight Foundation. And those are two like local charities that are super, super important. And I just think being able to bring this community together on basketball for the Pat Moody Foundation. Obviously, Pat was a huge role in the Wyndham basketball and even just Maine basketball scene. So I think it's super special, and I'm glad we can do something fun around sports and hopefully raise. Our goal is $1,000 for charity. So donate. There'll be a link in the bio that you can donate to, or if you come to the event, we'll be doing cash donations, and you can also do online donations. So,
quick question, just to bridge off that, like, do you guys ever get the chance to meet Pat Moody?
I did not.
I
know
think my
Pat?
dad. Yeah, we both have.
It's funny because I played a lot of basketball with Pat. Just being so like my first men's league out of high school was I played in the Wyndham men's league, and Pat always had a team in that league. It was just Moody's team, and they always had just real good players like, Jeff Manchester, all these guys who were just really good players. My buddy T-Watt, he just had all these superstars playing for him. And growing up playing in that league, it's funny, I always wanted to be Pat Moody. I never wanted to be, Jeff Manchester, T-Watt, all these superstars who I grew up watching. Like, I wanted to be Pat because he would make you feel so welcome in a gym. And, there's a couple times where I'd leave my shoes there, I'd leave my, whatever, my bag there. And I was always forgetting stuff, and he would always send me a message, and he'd say, Alex, the gym's open. Come grab your shoes, get some shots up. He didn't know me. Like, he just, knew I was a kid who loved basketball, and he would always give a kid who loved basketball a chance, So I just wanted a chance to talk about Pat, on the record, because, again, there's been a lot of stuff, a lot of information out there about him, and it's crazy to see how many people he touched, and just a top-notch human. And if you can donate or if you can be at the event and support him in any way, like, Pat would be there. Pat loves stuff like this. So just a great person, a really good family. Obviously, we know his son AJ is a tremendous player. He's a great kid too.
It is so nice.
Man, I've been playing against him since he was in 8th grade. Pat would
He was the mic'd up, right?
Yeah.
I watched his mic'd up and I watched your mic up.
Yeah.
Dude, he was so right after the state championship last year, and it was funny because Pat had been sick and he had got better. And him and we're playing his team in the semifinal, I think it was, in the Wyndham League, and all of a sudden AJ walks in, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to play against him right now, man. He's in season shape, like he tried to dunk on us a few times. I don't think he got one, but like being able to see AJ and Pat play together, and it was always a funny dynamic because Pat couldn't jump over a milk crate, and. As he would always say, AJ got his athleticism from his mother. Just seeing that dynamic, getting to witness that, and just a great person, not just in the basketball community, like he's just everywhere, like just a good dude. So I could ramble on for hours about Pat Moody, but he's just a good dude. So if you get another chance to support his cause, definitely take it.
I remember back when I was a little younger than I am now, I used to play against AJ almost all the time for AAU at Saco. I actually have a picture of him guarding me like at the top of the key when I used to play for Blue Wave Elite. It was back then we were kind of like had Nike jerseys, all those nice little cool jerseys, And like every time we played, it was like a head-on rivalry. It was me guarding Tyrese almost every time. Yep. AJ Moody guarding Nicola or whoever was on our team, and we just always compete, even though we'd be friends at the end of the day. But like whenever we're on the court, it's always head-to-head competing, and no matter what, we're just gonna play hard as we possibly can. So we've always had that little rivalry between us. So definitely next year, whenever I get to line up with him, I'm going to keep that rivalry.
And you'll have those relationships forever, too. Like, some of my best memories are, like, I have a lot of memories from high school, but, like, most of my memories are from the summer, like, from the tournaments at SMCC, from the tournaments all around the state. Like, it was a little bit different, too. Back when I played, like, we didn't have, like, the traditional or, like, the AAU teams like you had. The AAU teams were there, but it was more like you just go with your school, like you kind of were saying, and we would go and we would play other schools, So we got a chance to compete against, like, the Portlands and the Falmouths and the this and that. So, like, when I'm playing in a men's league game and I'm going up against, like, Jaron Muller, who's from South Portland, and was a big-time player back then. I hated him, man. He was always pushing me around. He's always talking trash, kicking my butt. And then, like, just to kind of get to play against a guy like that now and shake his hand and, talk after the game for a little bit. It's funny how everything comes full circle. Like, if you love basketball, like, cherish these moments now and, like, remember that, these people are going to be around you for the rest of your life. So, obviously compete, obviously go hard, but sportsmanship always has to come first. And I'm not even, not to be corny because – you watched me play. I did a few questionable things, but sportsmanship has to come first because this is a community thing here. We're trying to build a brand, which you guys are a big part of. And Cooper Flagg is he's a great example of that. Like he talks a little bit sometimes, but he just puts his head down and he plays. And the more guys we have in this area who are just putting their heads down and playing, we're going to be in a good spot here.
I was going to say, AJ, he's such a nice kid. Like, one of the most positive kids. Yeah. But, like, even in that state championship game, there was a kid on Sopo's bench who was, like, talking trash towards AJ. And AJ will have that. If you're talking trash, he's not afraid to, like, he does it in such a positive way. But, obviously, like, he tries to show it off more in his game, whether that's taking a charge, getting a steal, getting a block, hitting a three, or whatever. But it is so cool to see, kind of like how you're saying Cooper. Sometimes he'll talk, obviously, if somebody talks, but he's always just putting his head down and playing.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of Cooper Flagg, he's being projected number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah, we got, I think, Dallas. So the draft lottery happened this Monday.
Crazy.
And so we thought it was either going to be Washington,
Yeah,
Utah,
Washington,
or
or
Charlotte. One of those three. And everybody thought that. But I don't know it was like a super low.
1.8.
Yeah.
1.8%
Fourth
chance.
lowest percent chance that won the first pick in NBA history.
Yes. So the Dallas Mavericks, who just traded away Luka in what seemed like the weirdest trade ever. So random. They gave away.
Probably was the weirdest
Yeah.
trade ever.
Was
Yeah.
definitely.
And now they end up with Kyrie off of. Hopefully he recovers fully from that. Is it ACL?
Yeah.
Oh,
AD, who is he's an insane paint player, and then I think they've already said that they are planning to pick Cooper, and
Yeah.
they are not open to any trade options. So with that three, that's putting Cooper on a team that even without him has a chance to make it. And now you see obviously Cooper's level. He is so.
he's probably ecstatic that they got the
Yeah,
first pick, man.
definitely.
I would be for
I mean,
sure.
as if I were one of the GMs on Dallas Mavericks, I would definitely pick Cooper. The first reason why is he would be an ideal fit for the team, and his athleticism, his size, and he's able to play well on both sides of the court. Definitely would pick him 100%.
Yeah.
So it was like the last two picks, and it was either going to be the Spurs or
Yeah,
the
the Spurs
Mavericks
or the
getting
Mavericks.
Cooper. And I was just like, we joked about the idea of the Spurs getting
Oh, yeah.
Cooper,
Like
Wemby, and De'Aaron Fox. That would have been crazy, but it's just as crazy, honestly, that he went to Dallas. That was literally never in my mind.
But here's the deal with Dallas is they're more seasoned, so like he's gonna develop into like a team that's already established, and then they're gonna be able to build around him.
And he gets to learn. You think about Cooper, who's like, he can play every position, but he's going to be able to learn hands-on with Kyrie, the best dribbler of all time, and AD, who is just.
And they won't have to like force it to him. They won't have to rely on him to be the scorer, so he'll be able
Exactly.
to slowly work his way into the game, which is.
It seems like a perfect fit.
It really is a perfect situation.
Hey.
It's too perfect. I don't want to get.
Good luck dribbling the ball
Yeah.
in Dallas, Texas. next
Yeah.
year. That's all I'm gonna say. Or passing the ball, or shooting the ball, or doing anything. Because like, if they go big, I mean, you can play Cooper at the 3, AD at the 4, where he wants to play, and then you have Gafford or.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, definitely.
They got some serious
Yeah.
players.
Good luck. And that's a thing. Like he might not even he could win a championship shooting 4 shots a game.
Yeah.
Like, we don't.
That's
He
true.
doesn't need to shoot the ball, and I think
Defensively, he's good. So
Exactly.
it's like
Yes, and his shooting consistency overall in college, we've seen it. He's been able to make these tough shots all over the place, and I'm definitely 100% sure he'll be able to make those shots in the NBA as long as he takes the right shots, not unnecessary forced shots.
And I think being with those two players, Kyrie and AD, is going to allow him to be more selective and even be more patient and learn the speed of the game from the other two superstars on that team. And I think that also was something that showed in his college game, or from high school to college, is he has very good shot selection, and he doesn't force up too much. And there's times, I think it was against I forget which team it was, maybe Kansas maybe, and the commentator was saying like he should have shot that, but he passed it instead, and it was like having that as a problem, I don't think is necessarily one of the worst problems you can have.
he's like LeBron.
Yeah.
He's gonna make the right play. Like he's just gonna, you know what I mean? And he'll go down making the right play, or he'll be successful making the right play. And personally, I like guys like that.
And one of my coaches from Mass Rivals, Coach Scott, shout out to Coach Scott. He has 2 philosophies every time we play. No matter what, playing, practice, he always says play hard and share the ball. And no matter what, even if you think you have that shot, it might not be the best shot. So you always look for that one more, and that one more could lead to a wide open shot that could be an even better shot than the shot you're about to take. So I mean, he definitely plays by that, and he shows it all the time. And also in the paint, his defense will definitely help the Dallas Mavericks, because Dallas Mavericks have been terrible on defense for the past couple of seasons, and they definitely need another guy in there to help out Anthony Davis. So, yeah, he's definitely a great fit for the Dallas Mavericks.
one thing I want to say before we move on to like the pass first. When I'm watching the Celtics, okay, and we can talk about Tatum and stuff like that.
Yeah.
First, I'm gonna give Tatum a little criticism. I know he's going through a tough time right now, but like, this is just an example that I'd like to bring up, because in the third
Swing that
quarter,
thing.
Yeah, exactly. And when we're in the third quarter, we're up double digits, of course, and we don't need players doing step backs. You know what I mean?
Swing that thing.
Especially you get the clock too. You can wind some clock down. You don't need to be taking it when you're walking up the court, just pass the ball. When the Celtics pass the ball, they look unstoppable.
Swing that thing.
Yes, exactly. Swing it to the corner, specifically to Derek White.
Well, that's I'm not gonna not to circle back, but like, man, we won a championship off swinging the ball, like shooting corner threes, getting post ups off the swing. Because when you swing the ball, the defense has to shift, especially at the NBA level where the court is that much bigger. So I mean, it's just that's a great point, and yeah, that's how you play hoops, you know. Like,
Should we talk about Tatum though?
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
So Tatum's dealing with an Achilles. He got surgery. He posted a picture today in a cast, like in the hospital bed. Achilles is probably the worst, recovery injury one of the worst basketball injuries you can get, and it's just terrible because
They're saying he's gonna miss most of next season, if
Yeah,
not
for
the
like
whole
half
entire
of it,
season.
maybe.
Yeah.
it's such crazy. But it is also crazy. Kobe was a huge.
Yeah, he had that
obviously one of
Achilles, too.
Kobe had an Achilles injury, and Tatum is so heavily inspired by Kobe. There's no way he hasn't had that thought cross his mind. So it is crazy.
Yeah, you just hope he doesn't lose like his confidence and stuff like that. I will say, but like, over the years, I remember when he first came to the league, him and Brown were just always trying to dunk on someone.
Yeah.
Like that was their thing. Now they just shoot it.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's gonna like take him back even more to just shooting.
Yeah.
Just shoot first. But I love it when he drives because he's got that size and the ability to like.
I forget which game it was, but they threw a lob. I think Drew Holiday tossed up a lob to Tatum. It didn't go through, but I was just like, wow, I haven't seen Tatum catch a lob in however long.
Especially Brown. I don't know if you guys remember when Brown had the.
oh yeah,
Yes.
jumping on people.
Dude, he used to. That was the whole entire game. You're just watching them, and they're both just taking shots at like dunking on people the entire game.
It's
Like
changed.
LeBron.
But, yeah, it might be better now because obviously we're like the best team from
Shooting,
three,
yeah,
obviously. But it's like
That's just
you'd love to see him drive, especially when he's on like a mismatch with like Jalen Brunson, who's much smaller. But obviously, I'm in no place to talk because I'm not as gifted as him. But
I mean, but you're right though, because like when you rely on, shooting threes, a lot of the times, when it's good, it's great, and when it rains, it pours. And I think we're seeing that right now with the Celtics, and it's like the issue is they don't have a backup plan. So it's like, if our threes aren't going, we got Al Horford. We can't really throw into the post to Al Horford. He's not really doing much. Porzingis is sick, unfortunately.
Yep.
Tatum.
Tingus Pingus.
Tatum's hurt now. Anyway, Brown
had a crazy rebound line.
dude, he's been all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, even when he's not scoring, like, and he's been playing. He played sloppy in the previous 3 games, but he did make a impact on the game, whether it's like rebounds or assists. But he always tries to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. How many points did he have when he?
He had
in
42
the game?
last game.
Yeah.
Which was
What happened to the mid-range game?
Yeah, what happened to that?
Nah, my dad. Ask my dad that. It's funny. Like it's analytics, and it's funny because as good as the analytics are, obviously there's some negative sides. My senior year was in 2016, so that's right when the Warriors were like coming on really strong, and like we had our shirts literally had like the Lake Region symbol that looked just like the Golden State Warriors symbol. Like our coach was obsessed with them, and we did not shoot any mid range. It was threes, it was layups, and I think the biggest issue is when you're coaching high school, I think that makes sense, right? Unless you have a guy who's in the gym shooting a lot of shots, getting their touchdown, you probably do want to stray away from the mid-ranges, the fadeaways, this and that, right? But we're talking about NBA players here. Yeah. These guys are shooting shots every single day, right? So I think that it's unfortunate that guys aren't making the game a little bit more easy for themselves. Again, like Jake said, I'm not playing the games. I have nowhere near these guys' talent. I can barely hit the rim on a mid-range. But it seems like guys, they don't, they're very well trained. You want to compare a guy like Kyrie Irving and Allen Iverson. Kyrie Irving is the most skilled player we've ever gotten to see play basketball, right? But Allen Iverson, he's not that much less skilled than him, and he's willing to run through a brick wall to win. So I think that with the social media and with kind of things changing a little bit, a lot of guys are a little bit more interested in looking good than playing good. And again, that's not to say anything negative, because I think it's beautiful. I think it's great that everyone's getting their shine, everyone's getting their highlight reels and this and that. But let's not forget that, like, there's got to be some substance with that too, right? Like, if you're not winning games, if you're not getting offers, if you're not doing this, doing that, then there's nothing wrong with putting stuff out there, but make sure you're putting the work in too, right? So I think it all ties back to even at the NBA level that sometimes guys nowadays are just willing to, or people are willing to settle for easier shots. They don't want to put that grind in.
That's what I heard yesterday. The Boston Celtics lost because the Knicks was able to make the mid-range shot. And
Yep.
Jalen Brunson's mid-range is crazy.
Dude, he's one of the most clutch players I've gotten to see in the playoffs. It's insane.
Takes easy shots.
He does.
He takes his
Yeah.
time. He's patient, right? Like nobody's gonna get in his way. Like he knows his role. You know, like right now, like you ask a kid, like, do you want to be Jayson Tatum or do you want to be, you know, like, do you want to be Mikal Bridges? And obviously, people are gonna want to be Tatum, but you watch Bridges play and like he still gets to shoot his mid-range fadeaway when he wants. He still gets to go to the hoop, but he's a dog, and that's like. There can be a million guys like Bridges, right? The ones who work the hardest can get there. There's only one or two Jayson Tatums in this world, right? Like you're not going to be Jayson Tatum. You know that, right?
Yeah.
You can be Jayson Tatum on your school team. You can be Jayson Tatum on this, but if you want to make it big places, you got to figure out what you do great, master that, and then expand on the things that you do well, you know? So like basically I think that the biggest difference today is everyone can do a little bit of everything. So that's a good thing, but now everybody wants to shoot the three. Everybody wants to dunk on people. Everybody wants to cross somebody up when really, what do we got to do, Jake? Swing that thing,
Yeah.
right? Swing that thing. So I think it's just gotten a little bit too glamorous, the sport, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, and I will say, like during the regular season, you'll see guys like Tatum will put up a bunch of points and like average 30 and stuff like that because people aren't playing as hard of defense during the regular season. And you'll see when Tatum goes against a Mikal Bridges who plays, he had the longest streak for playing games in a row, whatever. He plays like 50 minutes a game. It's crazy.
Crazy.
When he goes up against him, he's got that motor and he's playing press defense from half court. Tatum's gonna struggle because he's not used to that. He's used to getting gimmies in regular season games. So it's like that's what I've noticed during the Knicks series here. I'm like, it's just the Knicks seem like they're prepared. They have more energy, and obviously the Celtics are like an isolation team where they play all ISO, and that's not gonna work against a defensive team like the Knicks.
You want to talk about playoffs versus regular season? We can talk
yeah.
about the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh
They
my
just
God.
went down last night to Indiana, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's
Messed
not
up
looking
my
great for them.
bracket.
It's not looking great for them right now. I honestly thought they were going to be able to compete, but Tyrese Halliburton's dropping 40 each and every game. So, like,
That story's crazy because beginning of the season we had the Olympics and he didn't
he didn't do
he
anything.
He was the bench player.
Him and Jason Tatum,
Yeah,
the both of them
yeah,
didn't
and
touch the
Tatum,
court at
yeah.
all.
No, I watched Halliburton last year in the playoffs, and he was so inconsistent. But you saw the flashes, and now it's like it's because it's all the mindset of this guy. You know, he has the ability to make the shots and do all that stuff, but it's like now he's got the mindset locked
Yes.
in, and that's scary because
Yeah.
now the Pacers have a good team, man.
Yes.
Miles Turner's like one of the most underrated
That's what I
players.
just said about his dad. He got into Giannis' face.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Halliburton's dad and Giannis got into it. That was the first round.
Yeah.
And I don't know too many details about it, but I just saw the clip of him like kind of like staring him down.
Yeah.
And, that's interesting. Like when parents or something are impacting the other team.
There's emotions though, you know what I mean? It's nothing personal. It's
No.
just
Yeah.
yeah.
I personally think that it might have been a little bit different if they didn't just knock him out of the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like if it was like, oh, like, you know, like Giannis was giving it to my son and I'm a little upset, like let me voice my opinion. But I think it was maybe a little bit of like sore winning, you know?
Yeah.
But again, like, you know, when your kids are involved, I had a crazy dad. Like, you know, he yeah, he you know, I love my dad to death, but he would get, you know, he was a competitor just like I was. So, you know, yeah, you know, he didn't, but he was also one of the most loving guys ever too. So I bet you Giannis's dad is exactly. I bet you Giannis's dad, or sorry, I bet you Halliburton's dad did that with love on his mind, even though we can't see it that way.
No.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
100%.
Man, it's crazy. One thing to say about Halliburton though too is I don't know if you guys saw, like it's been going around online. Like he was like rated or voted by his peers the most overrated player in the NBA.
I saw that. Yeah.
He's like 10 for 11 on shots in the final 2 minutes to like when the games are tied or he's trailing by 2 or 3 points. So like he's actually probably the clutchest player in the NBA.
Yeah, has
and
to
he's
be.
voted the most overrated. And I'm embarrassed because when that came out, when I saw that he was the most overrated player, I was like, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
No,
I guess.
I'm with you there
like,
because
sure, makes sense.
he
Like,
was he is inconsistent sometimes, but obviously in this playoffs he's shown that
Yeah.
he's like
Not to sound like a casual,
Yeah.
but I think no, it's true, and I think that just goes to show you. And the sooner that young guys learn it, there's so many good basketball players out there. There's so like you'll go to the park. I just drove by the Westbrook outdoor court, and there's like 25 people out there playing. I'm like, wow, like I might have to stop by on the way back because I know if I go out there, I'm gonna find another guy that I'm like, wow, this guy's good. Like, what can I learn from him? What can I pick up from him? You didn't even play in high school? What do you mean, man? Like you can always learn from a player or a coach.
You walk to the subway or Chipotle, you see a 16 guy
Yep.
right behind the counter.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think also it's crazy how you see it. Everything's in a spectacle in the playoffs. Everything's analyzed way more, but I think how we were saying it's also higher level of competition. Like people actually playing defense, like we were saying. People like it's a completely different game than the regular season.
Really?
I saw LeBron talking with Steve Nash, I think, about how it's like it's a marathon. Though the regular season's a marathon, and then the playoffs is a sprint.
Yeah.
And it is just a completely different level, and I think that's when it can sort of make or break careers as we see. And it's all such a big learning experience too, because when you lose, you've learned so much, and losing in the playoffs is so much bigger than losing in the regular season. So that's
Yeah.
when you learn the most.
I got a couple of things to say though. Like one, this playoffs is starting to look like the Knicks might win the NBA championship this year. Like it's starting to look bad.
They
like
got some
bad.
competition in the West though.
They do, but like they're like plowing
Yeah, no,
through
I-
all of everybody that they're
The
playing.
Knicks are playing a different sport.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like definitely.
They're sweeping the Celtics basically, so- which is impressive
Yeah.
because I mean,
Celtics have an insane roster.
yeah,
Yeah, I honestly, the only 3 teams that I was like hoping that would actually make it is the Lakers, obviously, and then the OKC, which is not looking good for them right now too, and the Knicks. And I'm genuinely proud for the Knicks. Like they're just doing their thing right now. They're just hooping, and like honestly, these guys are they just might as well just win. And people on TikTok are starting to say like, oh, if New York Knicks win, New York is gonna turn into Gotham City. Like they're gonna tear down the Statue of Liberty or something. And like it's just like
My
a
dad's
lot.
from New York. So he's from New York, and he is a huge Knicks fan, and he's had a really hard time continuing to be a Knicks fan with a lot of decisions that have been made in the past 20 years or so with just,
they haven't made the Eastern
Yeah.
Conference since
Yeah.
2000. So
yeah, and he's ready. Like these guys are ready. New York is ready for a basketball. It's the mecca of basketball. They're ready for a
and
championship.
if it's gonna happen, it's gonna be now. the
Now, I
roster
still
is,
think Boston can pull it off. Let's not get too
I
carried
am-
away.
Jalen
But-
Brown stuff.
Don't give up. Yeah.
Yeah, but basketball, when basketball's flowing in New York, basketball is good. So,
Well,
I mean,
anything's flowing in
know,
New York.
yeah.
But I like just thinking they make it to the finals, NBA final games at Madison Square Garden. That's
that'd be hot.
crazy. Madison Square Garden is the pinnacle of all
Yeah, man.
all arenas.
Oh,
So.
man.
But yeah, also let's go over to the West. Minnesota leads the Warriors 3-1.
Yeah, that's if the Celtics get eliminated, that's my team there. I love Edwards. Edwards is so
I
fun
don't
to
mess
watch.
with Edward.
Edwards,
He's
didn't
play defense. at
He's-
all.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
yeah, I like Edwards.
he's a good player. He's just like
Grabbing.
he's just like he's all talk, to be honest. He can
That's
back it up.
entertaining, though.
It's entertaining. He's all talk, but like whenever somebody humbles him, it's not looking good for him because he's all cocky. But like honestly, Naz Reid and Julius Randle are 2 of the best players on that team.
Jelly.
in
And
my
Julius
opinion.
Randle.
Big Jelly.
They are doing their thing. Like Naz Reid against the Lakers, he was knocking down threes from everywhere. Like he had 5 in a row at some point. Same thing with Julius Randle, just going crazy in the paint, getting and ones, rebounds, just doing his thing like he's always been doing. And like ever since that trade happened, he's just been a great fit.
I know people don't like him, but Gobert
Yeah.
also stepped up in that series.
Yeah, definitely.
Gobert had a huge series against Los Angeles.
Yeah, Gobert, he's like way before, he used to look like a baby giraffe. He has no control of himself. He's like all over the place. But now he's just being that basically a great role player, and he's just doing his thing too. So like all these players, obviously when it comes to playoffs, everybody got to lock in and step up. And speaking of locking in for playoffs. Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy, he's been showing that off, but it's not looking good for them.
That team is like
Nobody thought he'd be a good fit for the Warriors.
Jimmy's playing very good. It's unfortunate that Curry just went down with a hamstring. So Curry, he, in my opinion, is one of the greatest of all time, and I hope this doesn't affect his future, because if they can play next year, get a whole season, Jimmy and Curry, that's crazy.
It is a weird dynamic having Jimmy on that team. And when I heard that trade, I was like, very strange, but they're two great players, so obviously, and they like kind of opposites. So
and they're just like, it's that playoff mentality almost with Jimmy.
Well, Jimmy, I remember Jimmy when he was on the Heat, right? Yeah, he used to give the Celtics problems.
A whole lot of problems.
I think it might have been in the bubble or something. There's this picture of him just like laying down on like the Raptors
give his all,
after, because he plays so hard in that playoffs. They call him playoff Jimmy. Just takes it to another level.
In the bubble, he was a different breed. He was a different breed.
That's because he's a dog. Like, so he reminds me of the guys who I grew up playing with. Like you know what I mean? Like bro, when he was in the bubble, I bet you he wasn't doing anything but playing basketball and selling coffee. You know what I mean? Like, no, because
he's a
that's
big coffee guy.
But guys like him there's a reason why there's playoff Jimmy, right? It's not a coincidence. It's because he does the work to put himself in position to be successful when the time comes. Does Jimmy shoot mid ranges? Oh yeah,
all the time.
Does Jimmy go to the hoop? Yeah. He doesn't really shoot a lot of threes in the season, and then come the playoffs, he's going to shoot them because he knows, he knows he needs to win. And I just can't say enough about Jimmy Butler, somebody he's grown so much on me since watching him come in the league and watching him, like, dude, what was he, like the 1,000th rated player in his draft class or something like that? Like,
his story's crazy.
You drop that guy in the middle of the debt, like, he's one of those guys, like, he'd be successful at anything he does. And like, if you want to say what you want about the way he's forced himself out of teams, this and that, blah blah blah, don't hate the player, hate the game, right? Like, he's gonna, he's just a winner. So if you can watch anybody and not necessarily emulate their game, because I think you're a much different player, but just that ability to be what your team needs whenever they need it, that's what makes Jimmy Butler so special.
Yes, sir.
Oh my gosh.
His mindset. Like, I was talking to him the other day about like what makes Jalen Brunson in the third and fourth quarter go crazy, but Jayson Tatum will slow down in the third and fourth quarter. It's all upstairs. They've all put in the work. They're in the NBA. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they can make it. They can make those.
It's all
those
upstairs.
threes.
Yeah, it's like,
but it's all mental.
It's all mental.
It goes back to the point I was making earlier, where like players nowadays, they couldn't be more talented, right? They've done all the drills. They've run through all the AAU programs, this and that. But like when it comes down to it, you gotta want to win for yourself too, right? And like guys in the '90s, like. Yeah, you can say we're done with the '90s and this and that, but like those guys were running through walls.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, they were running through walls. They wanted.
Yeah,
they didn't give a dang.
I saw an interview of Kobe saying like how like nowadays guys are like, ever since they got their first paycheck and all this money coming through, it's like, oh, I made it already. I had this money. It's like there's no point in kind of trying anymore. But like he's talking about Jordan, and like even though Jordan was receiving all this money, he was still playing as hard as possible. Like he had no money. And he was able to win that as many championships as he won. So that's what made him such a great player. So like,
and I think it was also like we say today with even like NIL deals in college, you have this money and this. You were saying with social media, everybody can kind of promote themselves, and that I feel like that can distract from the actual love of the game. When in the '90s, that money wasn't there until obviously like Jordan made the NBA what it is today. But that money wasn't there, so you just had guys who truly loved the game and wanted to like win. So it's a completely different era and a different mindset. Even just as like technology grows, obviously players are way different. But now you could get more money in college and play 8 years in college and make more money than you would professionally.
I wonder what Cooper had to deal with. Like, he probably turned some stuff down to not stay another year or two.
Oh yeah. 100%. He definitely had so many people in his ear telling him, like, especially Duke, stay another year. The amount of sales he brought Duke was probably crazy.
Yo, JoJo, I can't lie. Speaking of the Knicks, after that mic'd up video, tell me why I opened the comment section, right? And the first comment I see, it says OTE. And they put 2 fire emojis. Yo, I started going crazy, right? Mentally going crazy. I was still in the car with my dad. I had to keep my control. I had to keep my cool, right? And then, and then, and then I scroll down a little bit more, and I see Coutinho Mobley, who used to play for the Rockets, and then also I'm pretty sure the Knicks as well. And he like messaged me and my father, and I was just like, wow, like I got messaged. An NBA legend messaged me from that video, and I was just like so happy from that. And like, yeah, he texted me saying like, keep working, you'll be great one day. And I was just like, I just couldn't control my emotions. Like, it was crazy. I was just so happy for myself.
That's why I love like that mic'd up, and when it does it in a positive light, like the amount of positivity that video brought, or social media, like we were saying, social media can be a negative thing, obviously, if people are trying to like get in their head. Or think
there'll be a few comments in there, but like that message from that guy is gonna outweigh that feeling.
Yeah, and you just got to be able to manage it, right? Like you can't like. All my great coaches have always said the same thing. Like, you never get too high, you never get too low, right? So when you get a message from somebody like that, like, take it in, celebrate it, but also, like, be driven to get that next message, right? Because who's the next message going to be from? What's the next connection going to be,
I hope it's LeBron.
My brother Jake was saying, like you were saying, don't get too high, don't get too low. My brother was saying, this too shall pass. It's a very good quote. When someone's going good, this too shall pass. When someone's going bad, this too shall pass.
I mean, that message from him definitely sent a message through me saying I got to work even harder. Because ever since that message came through, and I saw OTE comment too, you can ask my dad right here. I've been putting in that work way harder than before. Yeah. And like
I feel like that's the difference is with you. You are taking that energy and you understand like, yes, this is awesome right now, but it's inspiring you to work even harder for it to keep coming in the future. And I think that's what separates someone who's great, where I feel like some people will just kind of let things almost get to their head, if that's like whether it's their ego or whether it's their friends around them telling them stuff. But I think that's great that you're using all that energy to just push.
We got to get another mic'd up.
Heck yeah.
When are you going to call us?
100%.
Where do you where do you want to end up? What's like where do you want to be?
I mean, right now I'm more focused on what's kind of like coming up next. So basically being able to make varsity my first year, because my brother Ricky, Ricky got into high school at an early age. He was like around, I think, 13, 14.
How old is he?
Ricky right now, he's 22.
Okay.
And he made varsity his first year, and he was also the point guard. He's a lefty. I don't like him being a lefty. I always talk about him. I always like trash talk him every time we like play against each other. And I just definitely want to send a message to my family saying I'll be able to do that too whenever I get to that level. And I just want to be that leader, that guy that shows up to the gym every time, puts that smile on everybody's face, motivating everybody, and just doing my thing. And I just want to be, one of the best players to come out of Maine and play one of the best players to be able to touch a basketball here in Maine. But
I'll show you when you're not getting.
Oh, trust me, I will be there. I will be. I work even harder. Don't worry.
That's the thing. That's the next question. Like, what's gonna happen if you get to your season and all of a sudden you're not starting and you're coming off the bench, or you're, what I mean? Like, is that like how are you gonna respond to that? Because that's random. You could have a coach. You could have a coach who sees you make a weird play, or just doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, you never know. There's a lot of crazy coaches.
You're gonna run the coaches you don't like.
True.
But the important thing is having that mindset, like, having high expectations. Because I always say, if you aim high, you generally are gonna miss high, right? So keep those high expectations. And just seeing some of the videos that I've seen, obviously you're going to South Portland.
Yes, sir.
I mean, there's tough competition there, obviously, but seeing you play and talking to you and seeing your work ethic, it seems like if you want it, you can make it happen. But man, I always think playing point guard and playing center is the two hardest things to do as you make that jump to the next level, right? Because you're dealing with that elite quickness as a point guard. Me, man, I was this height in middle school, dominating kids, and then I went to high school and I was like, I'm now the shortest kid on the floor, So like for me, it was different. But you're doing everything to get yourself ready. You're doing the same drills as these guys. You're just as quick as them. So that seems like a pretty good short-term plan. You put a lot of blocks together, and it'll make a big tower.
And you surround yourself with talent. You want to surround yourself with the best. That's the only way. You can't surround yourself with a bunch of mediocre players.
Or people who aren't giving it their all, or don't.
They'll take away the love for the game, and they'll just make you worse.
Well, that's a good point. And just to touch back, like, bro, when we were growing up, like, we played at the Casco Gym, which was one of the towns at Lake Region that, one of our, hometowns. And we had a guy who, his name was Brian Crockett, and he actually played at South Portland, and he loves South Portland basketball. It's funny. But he would open up the gym for us, and he'd run the scoreboard every Friday night. So, like, every Friday night, like, me and my teammates, we knew that we were going to be in that gym playing basketball with a scoreboard. The games were going to matter. We were going to be shooting game winners, shooting shots at the buzzer. And, like, kind of like what we're just talking about, like, surrounding yourself with greatness creates greatness, you know? Why do you think I want to be around Ryan Martin so much?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you think I want, you know? Like, if you put yourself around great people, you put yourself around good people, you put yourself around bad people, you are what you eat. You know what I'm saying?
It goes for everything too, not just basketball.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
No, that is one of the. I saw this clip literally this morning. It's crazy we were talking about this. It was like, Mr. Beast, what's the most like important pieces of advice you've ever gotten? And it was like, you literally are who you surround yourself with. He surrounded himself with 5 YouTubers or people who wanted to become YouTubers in college, and you look, he's now the greatest YouTuber of all time. And he goes, you surround yourself with people who have similar interests with you. You can basically do whatever you want. He was like, if you hung out with those kids, or even just me and my 5 friends, you would probably become a YouTuber. Because
if you can find someone who's where you want to be, or like on their way, like further ahead than you, like how would you not be able to emulate what they've done if you're with them? You know what I mean?
Well, that's like the head coach at Messalonsky, Sam Smith. He was a senior when I was a sophomore, and we were not good. Like, we had years and years of not being good. But Sam Smith, the captain of our team, wrote Gold Ball Dreams on his sneakers and demanded the best of us, right? Like, I think we made the play-in game. Like, we barely made the playoffs, but like he would make sure our entire team acted as if we were competing for the state championship every practice. And it's like, I'm so lucky to have had a player like that in front of me. Not everybody gets that, right?
No, you need those culture
Right.
drivers.
Well, and that's just it, right? Like, Sam, he didn't have anybody to look up to, right? Sam Smith, man, that program was in shambles when he got there, right? And he looked around and he said, okay, right, maybe we're not going to be the most successful team, but maybe I can build something that, you know, I can leave behind, right? Like, you're going to South Portland. You got no problem with culture. They got you know what I mean? Like, those guys know what they're doing there. But for, like, some of the kids who are, you know, maybe you go to Shakopee Valley, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you go to look at Noble, for example. Look where they were. And then just with a little belief, a good coach, some kids.
Two
good
players
players.
who literally
You
made
know?
it their objective. We got these 2 players right here,
Yeah.
Jameer and Bryce. These two players, they made it a goal, and they came together and were like, their freshman year, we need to come together and become a state championship team. And they became that caliber. They fell short to Falmouth in a crazy game. Also, like, shout out Davis, man, like Billy Burks. That Falmouth team, that game was incredible.
They
Also,
did it to
Ezra.
Messalonsky.
Yeah, that team was incredible, but I don't think them losing that game takes away from what Jameer did or what Bryce did. Bryce hit some huge threes. Jameer, obviously, he won Gatorade player.
Gatorade
He won
player.
Mr. Maine basketball. He won also the Fitzgerald, the football one.
Yeah, the football.
So
Yeah.
he just went on an insane run of accolades this season. So I don't think
What year is he?
he's graduated. He graduates this
Graduating
year.
this year.
So he's a senior.
I mean, speaking on how you guys said to surround yourself with the right people that have the same goals as you, or where your goal is, and they're already there. On Sundays at the South Portland Rec from 12:15 and to 1:45, me and Israel go there usually after church, or if we don't go to church, we stretch at home and do our stuff before we go there. And every time we go there, there's always competition. And like when I say competition, I mean like good players like Gabe, Darius Johnson. You got Gabe Jackson. You got a bunch of great players from South Portland, and also some other players from Cape Elizabeth or Saco, and they come over and we just all compete. And like every time it's always fun, but it's also like head to head, like everybody's going after each other, everybody. And I'm always able to do my thing. Me and Gabe, we go at each other a couple of times. He guards me, I guard him. And he's just like overall a great player. His mid-range game is on point. Like he's able to stop on a dime, change directions, get a shot up. And then you got Darius, who's 6'4", he's 230, moving like someone that's like my weight, and he's just like zooming down the court, pushing it up, dunking. He's just doing all these great things that obviously kids like my age want to look up to him and just try to mirror his game. And like definitely Israel's having a hard time, but he was giving Darius a hard time too. So like
I mean, but that just to touch on that, like having a hard time, that's how you're gonna get better, right?
Yeah,
So, like,
exactly.
if you're a kid right, and you live in a smaller area, like, listen to what he's saying and show up to the gym and play. Like, I didn't do a lot of that stuff in high school, but as I got older, the best thing I ever did was join a team in the Auburn Summer League, right? The men's league in Auburn, because I showed up there, man, and there's height. Like, I'm getting dunked on. Like, there's all this, there's a kid named, I don't know if you guys won't remember this kid, a kid named Sean Janney. He played at Westbrook, played at like USM, and he was just like, dude, he caught a lob on me and my brother one time. And I was just like, okay. But that's the thing, right? So like venture out, right? Like, playing there made me better, right? Like, I was always good playing in Casco, right? All of a sudden I go and I play in Auburn a couple times. I go back and I play with my buddies in Casco in the Lake Region area, and I'm like looking like Michael Jordan or something, And obviously it's not that serious, but like, if you surround yourself with great players, right? Like, you want to do what he does, do what he does. You know what I mean? Like, everybody wants to be the Beast. Nobody wants to do what the Beast does, right? You want to be a great player, pull up to you said the South Portland Rec Center on
South
Sundays?
Portland Rec Center. Sundays from 12:15 to 1:45. And then also there's a rec center in Red Bank that's open every day, I think, except for the weekends. And like, it's open from 2 to 6, and there's open runs there all the time too.
Yeah, you got to show up and play. Like, that's what made me a great player or a good player or whatever I am now. Like, if there's a gym, if somebody texts me and says, "Hey, Alex, like, we're playing here at this time," like, I'm there. Like, I need to be there, because again, you never know the opportunity you're gonna miss, right? I might show up and I might be playing pickup with Troy Barneys. I don't know if you guys know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I might show up and I might meet Ryan Martin, who's now one of my best friends. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, it's even just networking, right? So like, show up and play. You never know. You might meet a coach. You might meet a player. You might meet someone's dad who has connections to a school in Nebraska. You know what I mean? So you got to get your face out there, man. Network.
That's how John Morant made it too. He was playing pickups at his high school at night in a college. Was it Murray State? I forgot what college coach that was, but he was there getting Doritos from a vending machine.
Yeah.
And he looks over, he sees John Morant cooking, and he gave him an offer from there.
Yeah.
So just pulling up to play could lead to your future at some point. So.
Yeah.
Putting yourself in those rooms, in those situations.
Yeah, proximity.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think every kid dreamed of, like, you're playing in your backyard and you dream of like a scout driving by the house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like, if you want to be real about it, you got to go to the gym. That's where they're at. You know where they're at.
Yeah.
These tournaments and stuff, and that goes for everything, obviously, besides basketball.
Yeah.
But like, for me, like, networking, you realize everything is just people talking. Like, all these decisions, everything that got this microphone made is just people talking. So putting yourself in the situation, obviously surrounding yourself with people with similar ideas, like we were saying. But for me, like, through experiencing even just photos, going from gym to gym, you meet all of these people.
Yep.
And just putting yourself, for you, going to these other tournaments and meeting and playing against these new different play styles. And then you might find a friend down there who also wants to become great and has that same drive that you do, and you just meet those players. That leads to experiences and opportunities that you would never even imagine.
Your chances of lucky go, like, every time you experience something or go out somewhere, network with other people, your chances of lucky, like, go through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to get lucky at home. You might, but it's like, let's be real. If you want to increase your chance of getting lucky, you go out every day as often as you can and just surround yourself with other people.
That's the thing about luck, is you have a much higher chance of luck if you are doing the
you
same
make your
thing.
own luck. It's not,
You create your own luck, and clutch is consistent. You know what I'm saying? You make your own luck, and clutch is consistent. And like, those, like, you put yourself around people who are lucky, it's probably because they're hard workers.
Exactly.
You put yourself around people who are clutch, it's probably because they're consistent. Like, show up. I like that. Like, you got to show up, man. It's easy to stay in bed, right? It's easy to play that extra game of Fortnite. It's easy to, but the guys who are going to make it somewhere are the ones who are sacrificing, and it seems like you're on that track, and just don't stop, because I tell people all the time, you might not make it to the NBA, you might not make it D1, but like, you're not going to regret like the sacrifices and like the life lessons that you're learning now.
Yeah, you'll never regret trying your hardest in whatever you do.
If you try 100%, and that's when you leave something, you don't try your hardest. That's what keeps you up at night. Like, that's when you leave something out, you're like, oh, I could have done that. I could have done this. But if you actually give it your all and you're like, damn, I really tried my best at that, it didn't go well, there's definitely something you can at least learn from that.
And trying your best in anything is going to transfer over to whatever you do next. Even if you're not playing basketball, it just transfers over.
Trying your hardest at everything you do and trying to improve at least like 1%. If you improve 1%
Yeah, 1% every day.
365% in a year.
That's 37 times better.
Well, that's like my dad. He says some crazy stuff. One thing he always says is, he says, "There's life and there's basketball, but not really." You know what I mean? Like a lot of things in life are pretty similar. Like if you can sacrifice and get really good at something, you probably have the ability to get good at anything.
I like that.
And it's like, it's really important that kids remember that, like, even if, you know, big time hoops isn't coming to take photos of you, right? Or, you know, Coach Gagne he's not coming from CMCC to watch you, right? Yeah. He's still in the building.
Yeah, just show up.
Right? I tell people the story all the time. I got recruited to play college basketball because of the way that I swung a towel, right? Like, I came off the bench, as JoJo knows, my senior year. I was a good player. We were loaded, but, you know, I wasn't anything special. And my coach came to recruit a kid who was, you know, a great player, really good shooter, this and that, didn't always have the best attitude. And about 3 minutes into the game, he looked over at his like assistant, and he's like, "Who's that kid over there?" He hadn't even seen me play yet. And you know what I mean? And I got in. Obviously, I did well enough, but, like, I got recruited to play college basketball by waving a towel. Thank you, Coach Gagne, right? Like, by waving a towel. Right? And it's like he said, "Hey, you know, Alex, if you can wave a towel like that, we can teach you how to do anything else." You know? It's
yeah,
like,
that's good.
And it's funny, but it's true. Like, that's not going to work in all programs. Not all programs are looking for those kinds of guys. But if you can get really good at anything, you can get good at
just like lead with your heart.
Yeah, man, you seen me. That's all I ever do.
And do like, I know it's a basketball podcast, but Tom Brady, when he went to Michigan, he's like the 4th string quarterback. Yeah. And he just did the best with what he had. He might get like 2 reps in practice, but he didn't compare himself to the starters. He just went out there and he's like, okay, I'm going to do the best I can with these 2 reps. I'm going to fire up the guys. I'm just going to do the best I can with these 2 reps. And obviously you saw what happened. And then he gets drafted to New England. Is like the 5th string. He's competing with all these great players, and he did the best with those 2 reps over and over again until obviously he became the greatest.
Yeah. And I just have to piggyback off that, because if you're going to play basketball, man, play basketball. Yeah. If it's garbage time, right, play. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be like, oh, it's just, you know, it's the last 4 minutes of the game.
That's true.
No, man, like, this is your chance to earn something, to win something. Like, you know, like win a moment, right? Mm-hmm. Show your coach something, show yourself something. I mean, if you're going to play basketball, freaking play, man.
Yeah, looking back on when I played, I wish I just like played like it was my last game every time, because now I just regret it, because I did play in my last game. And I showed some potential, and I really like enjoyed that last game. I'm like, man, if I just played like that every game, I would have really enjoyed my time, and maybe I could have done something.
And as we were saying earlier, I was there for that, and that was one of those things where it was frustrating, because all season I'm like trying to get. I mean, we're young, so you know you can't. It's different coaching kids, but trying to get that out of you, and it didn't always come. And then to see it happen at the end of the game made me know that, okay, maybe basketball might not be your thing in the short term. But I know that this kid can be successful, right? Yeah. I know this kid can work hard and finish a goal and complete a project, and whatever you're doing now, which I don't even know. I'm sure you're doing a great job of it, because I've seen you be successful.
Right.
It's that simple. Life is basketball, right? Basketball is life.
Yeah. So I think that's good. We've been going for about an hour now.
I could go all day.
Yeah, we having a great conversation here, but I know Coach B has some place to get to. Yeah. So I think we can wrap up here. If Jake or Alex have any last words you'd like to say before we do our outro.
I mean, I think, like, if I can just like smack one thing home, it's that, like, every team, right? There's going to be one of you on every roster, right? You're a stud, right? Because you put the work in, right? There's 14 other guys on that roster, right? So what can you do to make it so your coach cannot take you off the floor, right? If you want to become a better basketball player, if you want to become a better soccer player, if you want to become a better student, right, you got to sacrifice. And what can you do to make it so your coach, your teacher, you know, your mom, you know, your boss, what can you do to make sure that they can't take you out of the game? And that's that for me.
Yeah. You want to send a shout out?
Well, quick shout out. I mean, I definitely want to shout out Ryan Martin. I want to get everybody to come to that event. It's a big deal. Like, how often you get to see somebody attempt a record in front of you. You know what I mean? And I think that he's going to do it. We've been there practicing for a while. Like, you're going to want to be there, because you're not going to want to miss out. I know a few people who missed out on the last event, and they're kicking themselves. So I think it's Friday. What is it? 5?
So yeah, it'll be when this podcast comes out tomorrow, 5 o'clock. Tomorrow, 5 o'clock is when the doors open, and the event's gonna start at 5:30. But make sure to get there early. There's gonna be free pizza. It's first come, first serve.
Yeah.
So get there. And
Early bird gets the worm.
early bird gets the worm. You do not want to miss this. It is a chance to witness a world record and be a part of something great, raise a bunch of money for charity, and just
Donate.
make sure to donate. The link will be in the description. We're trying to do something awesome here. So just come through Lake Region High School tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Be there or be square.
Yeah. And one last shout out. This is a smaller known thing. I want to give a shout out to a coach, a young coach at Fryeburg Academy. Dan Thomas, he's a kid from Chicago. Funny thing is he played for Grinnell University. He played with Jack Taylor. If you look up Jack Taylor, he scored 120-something points in a basketball game in D3 a few years, and Dan was on that team. And they're building something special there. A lot of people don't know him because he's not from the area, but I definitely want to give a shout-out to Coach Thomas at Fryeburg. They had a couple good seasons the last few years, and that's a coach and a program to look out for, and a good buddy of mine. So check them out if you haven't seen Fryeburg play. They got some good players.
And
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
Hope to do it
Anytime,
again sometime.
anytime.
Yeah, man, this was awesome.
We didn't even get to talk about Jordan and LeBron, man.
we'll have to come back.
I'm gonna tell you.
One last shout out to Maine Love. They've just been super supportive of us, and
This is really
they hooked
good.
us up with some new flavors that are coming out. It's the second best place to get water from in the United States, Sebago Lake, which is local. So support local in Maine, and it's also just an amazing product. Like, they're trying to stop on like single-use plastics, and they actually just promote and have like actually the best water you can get around here from Sebago Lake. So get some Maine love. Go to a local store. It's gonna be coming to a place near you soon. And obviously follow the Playoff Podcast, follow the Playbook Podcast, follow Lionel on Instagram. He's been going crazy. You can follow me on Instagram, Jojo Deshane MP4, and obviously follow Alex and follow Jake Deshane as well. He needs to get those followers.
Follow Jesus Christ. Don't follow me.
Heck yeah, follow
Hey,
Jesus.
listen.
Amen.
If you like old men who play basketball, give your boy a follow.
Ladies.
And I gotta get a quick shout out to my humanities teacher, Mrs. Baker. I know I think last week it was Teacher Appreciation. Teacher Appreciation Day, and I forgot to give her a shout out, so I had to give her a shout out today. Shout out to Miss Baker for being just such a great teacher, very welcoming. She's funny, she's serious at whenever she needs to be, but like during flex, whenever we're doing our I-Ready, everybody just be spilling drama and stuff like that, and just talking, having fun, and she's just one of the greatest teachers I've had in a while. So I just wanted to give her a shout out. Also, shout out to my homeboys, Jency, Gage, Kombe, Israel, Nate, all those guys. Shout out to y'all. Hope you guys have a great day. Follow Jesus Christ. He's the Lord and Savior. And just have a great day. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. And we'll see you next time.
Man, it's a good shout out.